Hello everyone, Elias5891 here with another KTANE module tutorial. This time we're going over the Boolean logic, or Boolean Venn diagram module. As I implied there, it is a logic module. It does not require edge work, but it does require a little bit of knowledge of logic, or ability to follow some funky Venn diagrams. I personally would suggest, if you haven't watched the logic video or don't understand how logic module works, take a look at that first. I go into pretty good detail on the truth tables for those logic gates, and I think that's a good stepping stone for this lesson. So, what is this one? Well, for Boolean Venn diagram, you always have three letters, A, B, C, in that order, parentheses around two of them, like logic, operators between them, and you're going to solve the entirety of it instead of like logic where you solve for one particular true false statement for A, B, C. You're going to actually give the full truth table essentially. And you're going to do that by clicking the appropriate spaces here on this Venn diagram. If you're correct, for example, the section will turn green. And when you've clicked all the sections, then you're done. Each of these circles represents a different letter. So this circle here is A, this circle's B, this circle's C. And each section corresponds to which values are true. So the section I highlighted is all of them are true because it's inside all three circles. This would be A is false because it's not in the big circle here. B is true and C is false. This little section over here is everything's false. This would be A and C are true, B is false, and so on, so on. So knowing that, how are we going to solve this? Well, I think the traditional way most people are going to solve it, the way you'll see most often, is the diffuser will read off to the expert what they have. In this case, it's parentheses, A or B, down triangle, B. That's a bidirectional arrow, it's an XNOR, or you could say bidirectional, I guess. C. Now, doing it from the truth table is how I'm kind of going to go over it first. So for the truth table, we're going to consider all 8 possibilities when they're all false, 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 true, false, true, false, false, true, true, and so on, hitting every permutation combination that we have, like so. And then we're going to do the part in parentheses first, obviously, because you always do parentheses first. And then we're going to do the outside part with it. So let's look at the inside part of this one. We have A or B. Well, A or B is true when A is true or B is true, or both. So we need at least one of A, B to be true. And if you want to kind of see that as a Venn diagram, the module here is nice enough to have that. Now these gray sections are true. So you'll see if either part is true, or both, then it's grayed. It's only false kind of when they're both false. So this is going to be true if I have a true in column A or column B. So these first 2 rows are false for both of them. So that's going to be a false, that's going to be a false. All 6 of the remaining ones have something true. I have B true for these 2, A true for these 2, both true for these 2. That's surprisingly a tongue twister. So that gives me true the rest of the way down this chart. Now we're going to XNOR it with C. An XNOR, and this is the bidirectional one here, I can explain it that it's true when both or neither conditions are true. Or if you kind of want to see it here, it's true if they're both true, and it's true if they're both false. So I'm looking for them essentially to have the same letter. Both true, both false. So let's see. So we're comparing my parentheses part here to C, my XNOR, here. So these match. They're both false. So for an XNOR, that's true. Differ here, this one's true. Differ, true, differ, true. I didn't bother writing the F's because what we're going to want to tell what we're going to want to tell the diffuser is just the parts he needs to click if he passes this along. So I tell him, okay, so you're going to click, this is false, false, false. So I'd probably tell him the outside, the everything's false. You're going to click B and C only, because notice A is false, but B and C are both true. So here's B, here's C. I don't want to include A, which was here for this one, so that's there. A, B, and C, which I clicked earlier as an example, and A and C. A, C, so this is A and C. And there we go. Notice as I finish, it goes ahead and reads out the false sections, just kind of as a visual aid that I'm done. This one I'm going to skip for right now. We'll come back to it. This one, A implies B, nor C. So, and we'll do it with symbols this time. A, right arrow B, down arrow C. A implies B, down arrow C. Alright, so again, we're going to truth table this sucker. We'll start with the part in parentheses. That's A arrow B, and then we'll do down arrow C. So A arrow B, when is that true, or when is that false? Because if we're doing the truth table, it's just as easy to tell one or the other. So if we look at the instructions for this, there's only one false section. That's when the first part is true, but the second part is false. So I have a false when the first part, A, is true, and the second part, B, is false. So when A is true and B is false, that's my false. So these are both going to be F's. And everywhere else is true, so we can fill in the rest to be trues. And that makes sense if we think about what A implies is. If A is false, then we can't imply anything. And if A and B are both true, then it makes sense that we're implying that. These are the only false ones where I say A implies B, A is true, but B actually wasn't. So that gives us a truth table for that section. We're going to down arrow C it. If we look at down arrow, that is only true when they're both false. It's a down arrow is not or. So an or would be true if any part's true. So a nor is false when any part is true. And if it's false when any part is true, it's true when both parts are false. So I want false, false. So these are out. This is false, false. Actually, this is my only false, false in this case. It's the only place where I have C is false and my parentheses is false. So that's A only. And that's all for that one. And sometimes you'll have really quick ones like that where it's one section. Conversely, sometimes you'll have 7 sections that are true. Just depends on which particular logic gates you get. Alright, try the next one. A and, let's write that up top. A, that's an and. B, that's an XOR. C. So let's take a look at this one. B XOR C. B XOR C. Little V line. That is true if exactly one part is true. So for B XOR C, I need one of B or C to be true. So where is exactly one of them true? Not here. Here one of them's true. Here one of them's true. Nope. Nope. That's one true. And that's one true. And the rest are false. So that gives me my B XOR C. Now I'm going to AND A. An and is true only if both parts are true. So all of this is A is false, so none of that matters. I'm looking for true true from A and parentheses. That would be this line and this line. Those are the only two that give me a true for A and a true for this column. So that would be AC and AB. So we want the section that's A and C only and A and B only. Ta-da! Two more. We're done with this bomb. Parentheses. A, that's a NAND. It's a vertical line. That's a NAND. B. Bidirectional. That's XNOR C. Well, let's start with the NAND in parentheses. A NAND is true, not AND. It's true everywhere except when both parts are true. So that might be easier to think of it as it's false when both parts are true. So this is only going to give me a false if both A and B are true. Those two are the only ones where A and B are both true. So that's going to give me a false. Everywhere else gives me a true. Then we're going to take this. We're going to XNOR with C. XNOR was my bidirectional arrow. Remember, XNOR is true if I have both true or both false. Both true or both false. So let's look for both being true. That's here. That's here. That's here. Or if both parts are false, that's here. So these four are the ones I want. That lined up right? Yep. So that would be only C, C and B, only C, C and B, A and C, A and B, A and C, A and B. And that leaves us with just this last one, which I left for last because of its simplicity. A and B and C. I mean, you can kind of say that one and guess what it is. A and B and C. The sections between them. Now, that last one, obviously I didn't need an expert for that. It's A and B and C. That's easy. That's the middle one because I need all of them to be true. As you get more comfortable and more familiar with Boolean, you'll probably be able to do that more and more with any and all particular diagrams. So let's hop back in and let's actually do one this time where we don't actually involve the expert. Let's just do it as a diffuser, kind of working through what some of them would look like. And some of these will be a little tricky, and if you don't follow all of them, that's fine. You'll see the answer, and you can kind of look back at it as if you were going to give it to an expert and kind of work it out as a practice on making the truth tables. So let me explain how I would go through some of these. Okay, so we have A or something. Well, an or is true if either part's true. So I need A to be true or this parentheses to be true. Well, I can mark A as true pretty easily. That's this section. Or this section needs to be true. Well, where is this section true? Well, that's true everywhere except C is true, B is false. That's my only false condition, is when C is true and B is false. So what I've got left, I want C true, B false. That would be here. That's my only false for that section. But I want my trues, so that would be everywhere but there. May have been a little confusing, so let's look at this one. Again, it's implies. Something implies C. Well, that's always true if C is true, so we'll mark all of C. It's also true if I have true implies, or I'm sorry, it's also true if I have false implies false. True implies false is bad. We don't want that one. That's a false answer. But false implies false is okay. So I want this to be false. This is A NAND B. So I want the opposite of that. I want that to be false. I want my NAND to be false. Well, NAND is just the opposite of an and I want it, since I want the NAND false, that's just the same as an AND actually. So I want A and B. Let's hop to this one. A or B nor C. I'm sorry, B XOR C. Well, A or something. Easy enough. B XOR C. XOR means exclusive OR, means I need one or the other, but not both. So I need either just B or just C. So of my remaining sections, I need just B or just C. This one's a little trickier. I'm going to have to take a little more time with it, maybe. This is a NAND, not AND. And if you think back to the picture over here, a NAND is true if either part's false. NAND is true if either part is false. So if C is false, then my NAND is true. So let's mark all the C as false parts. Or if this is false, well, how does B imply A become false? There's only one time that implies false, and that's true implies false. So that would be B is true, A is false. B is true, but A is false. That puts me out here. Last one, A XOR B, nor C. A little trickier. For a nor, I need both parts to be false. So I need C to be false, which knocks out this whole section here. I need C to be false, so this is all gone. Of my remaining sections, I also need this to be false. This is an XOR, so it would be true if I have exactly one. But I want it false, so that would be if I have 0 or 2 of the components. So I throw out everything with C, and if what's left, I throw out anything that is exactly 1, because I want the false. So that would be 2 sections or no sections. Now, if you're not comfortable with logic gates, that may have been a little confusing. Maybe some of it you followed, some of it you didn't. In which case, some practice doesn't hurt with it, but that's kind of the general idea. So, I'm going to throw up one more. I'm going to suggest you use truth tables for this one. But it's up to you. You can do it that way. You can kind of instinctively look at some of them, maybe. Whatever feels comfortable, whatever gets you to the correct answer is what you want to do. So here's yours. I'll go ahead and read them out. If you don't want if you want to do them as if you were the diffuser, you can take a look. If you want to do them as if you're the expert getting them read to you, I'll read them symbolically and word with the logic gate with the word. We have A V-line parentheses B down arrow C. That's A XOR parentheses B nor C. A V-line parentheses B V C. A XOR parentheses B or C. A right arrow B, that's in parentheses, line C. A implies B, in parentheses, NAND C. A V parentheses B down arrow C. A or parentheses B nor C. Parentheses A or B in parentheses. Arrow C or implies C. A or B implies C. So those are how you'd hear them. You can look at them because I did read them a little quickly. Take a glance, take a moment, pause the video, see what you get for the answers. Okay, you should have paused there if you need some more time. We'll see if I can do these pretty quickly. I'll try to do it as if I was an expert. or a diffuser doing it solo. For this one, I'm going to have this or this. Going to be true because A is true, or B nor C is true, so neither is true. This one, an imply is always true if C is true, or if this part is false, so we want the outside. XORs are a little lengthier to do if you get them on the outside. If A is false, I need B nor C to be true, which was the outside circle. If A is true, then I need B nor C to be false, which means I need one component, at least, of BC. Again, exclusive, A XOR B or C. So if A is true, I need B or C to be false. If A is false, then I need B or C to be true. And the last one here is an implication. It's a NAND. NANDs are true if either part is false, so I need C to be false. Or A implies B to be false, that would be true implies false, which would be that section. So that's what you should have gotten for those. Boolean is one that I definitely suggest sit down with, give it a shot. It's, all in all, there's actually only, if you consider the parentheses, there's only 8 operations. So that's 64 possibilities flipped one way or the other, depending on if the parentheses comes first or second. So there's not that many options. There are only 128 possible Venn diagrams you can get at all. So get some practice with them. You'll see some patterns. You'll be able to do some of it on your own. Truth tables will become quicker, and it will all become a smooth process after some experience. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or suggestions, leave them down below in the section below. And until next time, this has been Eliott. Thank you so much for watching. Have fun. Don't explode. Bye, guys.